I was always a happy little girl growing up. If I picture myself as a child, I'm in like a yellow dress, I'm smiling, I'm happy. And then something changed. And I always thought I'd always get shut down for the way that I thought. That's when I realized I didn't need alcohol and I didn't need anything else. So then when my son was 18 months old, I quit alcohol and I said, this isn't who I want to be. I studied as much as I could. I just worked out different ways to relate to him, all the ways that I had learned through meditation, yoga, being present, and always work for kids. Play is their language, so we did a lot of play. And that's what we're building now, is a gamified app for kids, utilizing their heroes to teach them the art of self-regulation and mindfulness. Rosabel, can you imagine your life if you knew the lessons that you know now as a child? Like, it would be so different without taking away from your human experience. And that's what we do at Happy Souls Kids, is that we teach them the lessons. We teach them about bullies. We teach them about the fact that if somebody's being mean to you, often it has more to do with themselves than it does to do with you. I teach them about force fields, putting on a force field. I call it the mud when we separate, when we're going through those really hard times, that there's no way around it. You have got to go through it. And it is tough and it is challenging and it is very lonely. But these times teach you more about yourself than anything else. You've got to start to trust your intuition. You've got to start having that connection to self again, because you are right. And when you've been in unaligned, I don't love the word toxic, unaligned relationships or unaligned friendships or unaligned family dynamics, whatever it might be for you, you stop trusting yourself. You start having that connection to you. And this time when you're alone, when you're isolated, it is the best time for you to start having that connection to you, because there's no greater connection in the entire world that you can have. Journaling is a beautiful thing. It's like a conversation with yourself or a higher power, however you feel, however you think, but it's just really helping you connect back in. And I think when humans realize that's the most important relationship that we can have, that's when we find grace.
My guest is Jacinta Field. She's a family child counselor, art therapist. She's also the CEO of Happy Soul Kids.
Rosabel, thank you for having me. Now, my name is a bit of a tongue twister. It's Jacinta and Samantha put together. So everybody just calls me Jay. So you are so welcome to call me Jay. It's just much easier.
All right, let's call you Jay. Talking about childhood, I am so excited for our conversation today, because still today, I believe that children are the basics of our society.
Yeah.
It's the beginning. There's so much that takes place right in childhood. You are the CEO of Happy Soul Kids, and this is like a groundbreaking platform that help children build emotional resilience, self-regulation, and confidence through you have gamified storytelling, mindfulness, and movement, which is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So tell me, I want to know what got you into this. I want to hear your story.
Rosabel, how far do I go back here? I was always a happy little girl growing up. Like, I just remember myself, if I picture myself as a child, I'm in like a yellow dress, I'm smiling, I'm happy. And then something changed. And I always thought I'd always get shut down for the way that I thought. And I think that just really ate me up inside. And so rather than expressing my feelings, you know, we grew up in an age of eat concrete, harden up, you'll be right. I was the third child, so I just got pulled around, and we didn't really listen to feelings and emotions back then. And I turned to sugar to be able to express my feelings. And, you know, I would suppress them with sugar. Like, I'd just eat sugar. I'd steal $2 from my mum's wallet every day and go to the milk bar and just eat sugar because I was suppressing my emotions. And fast forward many years later, I used to party a lot. That sugar turned into alcohol and partying and having a good time. And there was a part in my life where I just said, this isn't who I want to be. I don't want to be this. I think that there's so much more to life than this. So I started seeing a meditation teacher, and I couldn't express how I was feeling at the time. I'd suppressed so many of my emotions that she just got me to draw and draw and draw. So it was through color that she got me to draw. And that was the first way that I started to express myself. And so every Sunday morning I'd go out and I'd wake up and I'd have a chicken fillet burger combo upsized with extra salt from KFC. And every Sunday morning I would say the same thing, like, this just isn't who I wanted to be. And so I started slowing down a little bit. Like, I used to party a lot. I had a really good time, and I wouldn't change my past. I've met some amazing people and some experiences, and it shaped who I am today. And then I was in a domestically violent relationship when I was 17 for about 15 years. And I haven't realized or put words to what that was until only recently. You know, domestic violence wasn't really, it was just a kind of accepted thing when we were younger. And until I realized that was just such a toxic relationship that I was in, and so many people could see it, and I just wanted to be loved as a little girl. And so I can't tell you the moment that I left that relationship, but I chose myself. And then I was in a new relationship, and we had a baby, and it was my son Axel, and he was just divine. And so when I was pregnant, I stopped drinking and going out and having fun and doing all of those things. I still would. I'd still go to a nightclub if that's where somebody's birthday was. And I loved it. I loved it. It was really fun. That's when I realized I didn't need alcohol and I didn't need anything else. So then when my son was 18 months old, I quit alcohol and I said, this isn't who I want to be. And again, I chose myself. And then when my son was 5-6 years old, when it was in 2019, 2020, we separated. My son started school and it was COVID all at the same time. And even though I'd been on my own healing journey, I'd done meditation, Reiki, had done all of these things, my child's emotions were so well beyond anything that I could support at the time. Like, he was throwing bins around the house, he was running up the street. Like, I was like, whoa, this is so much. And that's when I really started studying to support my own child in what he was going through. And I studied as much as I could. I just worked out different ways to relate to him, all the ways that I had learned through meditation, yoga, being present. Didn't always work for kids. Play is their language. So we did a lot of play. And so my son, what we first did was started drawing circles. So we draw circles on a piece of paper, and I'd say to him, hey, I understand you've got some big stuff going on at the moment, but do you think that you could put the face in the circle of how you're feeling? And that's what he did. He put the face in the circle of how he was feeling. And so then I'd break it down with him a little bit more, and I'd say, hey, can you express to me, so you've got sad, disappointed, angry here. Can you tell me which, can you explain to me why you're sad, disappointed, and angry? And that was the start of Happy Souls Kids. That was the start of me supporting my own child through his big feelings and emotions. We sold a house, another big trauma for him. We had to move. We moved to Torquay, where we didn't know anyone during COVID. That was another trauma for him. And so he's just experienced so many different things. And so during COVID, I saw that kids couldn't gain access to psychologists. There was a 6 to 12 month wait. And that's, as a mum, broke my heart. Like, there's kids globally all over the world that don't have access to support. And here I am with all of these tools that I've got for my own child, as well as 20 years of healing. And so that's when I really focused my attention to children and families. And I learned as much as I possibly could. The process for me was really healing. I had a private practice in Torquay for 4 years. And then I was in practice with one of the kids, and I said, hey, do you want to do some meditation? And he was about 12 years old. And he said, and he just looked at me like, whatever, lady, I don't want to meditate. And I said, LeBron James meditates, and instantaneously he wanted to meditate straight away. And that was me seeing the influence that I had with children. Their parents could tell them whatever they wanted, but it was not until Jay came in and said, oh, we should do this, that they really listened. And that's what we're building now, is a gamified app for kids, utilizing their heroes to teach them the art of self-regulation and mindfulness, but through gamification, which is a language that they really understand. So, but Rosabel, that's a really long intro into me and my journey and how I got here. It's really interesting that what helped me most when I needed it was drawing and through art. And that's actually subconsciously what I started doing with children as well. So, I've read self-help books for 20 years as well, of just learning. And I have this deep desire to heal my soul. And I think that that's where my deep desire to help other people as well and be of service to others that's where that comes from.
Oh, and what a beautiful way to do it, especially in childhood. Children are pure. They're innocent because they still haven't learned the ways of this society in this world that later on, unfortunately, we all learn one way or the other things that happen to us. And what you mentioned here brought to mind so many things. Again, childhood, it's like I was saying at the beginning, the root of a lot of our adult problems, I believe, it's right there in childhood.
Absolutely.
And so you also mentioned that during that time, COVID, there was like a 12 month wait to go into psychology, psychiatry. I don't know what it's like out there where you are, but I don't think we ever recover from that.
No, it's the same
after
here
COVID.
still now.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I have a 9-year-old son. I'm also I'm a healthcare provider here in America, and luckily I am able to what I'm able to do sometimes, since I'm able to star my patients in certain, of course, but I tell them I'm not a psychiatrist. I come from family practice, family medicine, and then now neurology. And I acknowledge the anxiety, the depression, these things, and maybe I'm able to, because when I was in family medicine, people will be like, okay, yeah, I do some tools. You got some anxiety, you got depression. I'll start you on
Mm,
something. You need to go see psychiatry. But guess what? 3, 6 months later down the road, I haven't
mm,
found anyone. So they will come back to me and I'll do my best to manage.
mm,
And that was adults. I can only imagine what it's like for children,
mm.
especially if you have a child that has ADHD or a little bit more complex than normally most primary doctors won't take care of that. So I can only imagine.
And
And
it's
so,
how it's
wow.
still how it is today, they
Yeah,
still
it
6
is.
to 12-month waits, and I don't
Absolutely.
think people have recovered, and now there's neurodiversity and everyone wants to get diagnosed, and so there's even like 6 to 12-month waits for psychiatrists, and it's just like,
Still,
yeah, we just
yeah.
want to help children, we just I just think that kids they've got just such beautiful souls. That's the place that we need to start.
So I want to know, since you already are on this, I want to know your vision for this platform. You touch a little bit into it, but I want to know, how do you see impacting the life of children and families globally? I want
Yeah,
to
so
know
we
that.
we have a mission by 2027 to support 100,000 children with self-regulation. So it's just, we want to be able to teach them the lessons that we now know as adults. Like, Rosabel, can you imagine your life if you knew the lessons that you know now as a child? Like, it would
Oh,
be
yeah.
so different without taking away from your human experience. And that's what we do at Happy Souls Kids, is that we teach them the lessons. We teach them about bullies. We teach them about the fact that if somebody's being mean to you, often it has more to do with themselves than it does to do with you. I teach them about force fields, putting on a force field. So if somebody throws bad words at you, to just let it come off your force field. And all of these little tips and tricks and things, how to deal with anger, how to express anger in our body, how to positively move emotions through our body. And our vision is really to be able to support as many children and families. And this work isn't just for kids. The app is to do it with parents together. So it's for parents and children to do it together, because parents have just as much to learn as children do, if not more. In fact, we've got 40 years of habits and patterns and beliefs to remove, because otherwise, if you don't do the work on parenting, you just parent your children the way that you were parented. And often that's
Absolutely.
where a lot of the issues came from, because your parents
Yes.
didn't have that support. They didn't have those tools. And so we really come from a different aspect of helping families connect together. The biggest thing for me is connection, is really connecting into their kids. And I see a lack of connection so often.
Yes, that is big, because it is so ironic, right? That we live in a day and age where we're supposed to be more connected than ever, but
Mm.
we find ourselves even more disconnected. I don't
Oh,
know
yeah.
exactly. I don't know where to pinpoint, but we have to, for example, I make an effort to connect with people just by opening
Mm.
the podcast and having conversations like this. And so we can have a platform and we can reach people. One of my visions is for others that are listening, like if they find themselves in a predicament, in a difficult situation, not to feel alone, not to feel that they're the only ones that go through to do things. Oh, by the way, it actually does happen to other people. Like, yeah, so we're not the only
Mm.
ones, right? So we're not so alone. And then maybe we can find our tribe, finding the people that we resonate with. And
Mm.
so to me, that's very, very important. But I know, so we did talk about 2019 was like a turning point for you, right? Where you were newly single at the time. You have your son that was young. And then that talks about resilience. Instead of you, again, you turn into, you wanted to learn, right? You become learning. You look it seems to me that you just look for the best of the situation, because a lot of times we go through things and we become so overwhelmed for what's going on, and we're like, we don't know what to do. And I'm sure that probably that was how you felt at one point, but then you're like, well, maybe let's turn this around and let's see
Mm.
how I can make my difficulty or whatever I'm going through into something that can actually help other people. So you went back to studying, counseling, art therapy, play therapy, which I love very much. I love play therapy, by the way. Um, and so the other thing is that I'm already admiring about your work is you're not somebody who teach on a pedestal. You teach from a path that you already walked,
Mm.
yourself. And that is why it's so important for you to share your story with such honesty. And so for a lot of women out there who are listening, especially those on their season of breakdown, what do you think it's something that they can take away with them, like right now? What can they take away from this conversation?
I call it the mud when we separate, when we're going through those really hard times, that there's no way around it. You have got to go through it. And it is tough and it is challenging and it is very lonely. I've had thousands of people that I know never even reach out and ask if I'm okay. It's a really lonely process. But these times teach you more about yourself than anything else. It's tough and you've just got to realize that you're in the mud, but that's not the whole picture. Like if we look at the mud, there is a way out. We just got to get to that way out. It's like the light at the end of the tunnel. And when you get out of the mud, when you look back, there's an element where you can say, okay, I get it. I get why that happened. I needed to be stronger. I needed to stop being a people pleaser. I needed to find my voice. I needed to ground myself. I needed to believe in myself. Like my separation was the best thing that could ever happen to me, to trust my intuition. Like I was always told by every relationship I've ever been in, by my family, by everyone, that I was wrong for the way that I thought. And I'm very intuitive. I can pick up on things 10 times before they happen. And I was always told I was wrong. So when the separation happened, it's like I almost predicted what was happening and I could see things happen before they did. And I think when these big things happen, you've got to start to trust yourself again. You've got to start to trust your intuition. You've got to start having that connection to self again, because you are right. And when you've been in unaligned, I don't love the word toxic, unaligned relationships or unaligned friendships or unaligned family dynamics, whatever it might be for you, you stop trusting yourself. You start having that connection to you. And this time when you're alone, when you're isolated, it is the best time for you to start having that connection to you, because there's no greater connection in the entire world that you can have than with yourself. Like I was very codependent in relationships. I wanted to smash that to pieces, and I have. I'm very clear on my boundaries now. I know when somebody's not treating me right. Like it's that feeling for me. It's like, this doesn't feel very comfortable for me. And I think that I've learned to just walk away. And sometimes I never would have done that before. I was a people pleaser. I was like, I would chase friendships. Now I'll message somebody once, and if they don't respond, I leave it. That's not aligned. And I think it's really important for you just to sit in silence. Journaling is a beautiful thing. It's like a conversation with yourself or a higher power, however you feel, however you think. But it's just really helping you connect back in. And I think when humans realize that's the important relationship that we can have, that's when we find grace. And that for me is success. When I can trust myself wholeheartedly, no matter what is outside of me, that's when I know that's like a solid relationship. Like you have to get the foundations right. And a lot of us don't get the foundations right. So we're sent people that in our lives, whether we like it or not, and that are probably not our best people. And we've just got to have the courage to leave and say, this just doesn't really feel right for me. And
Absolutely.
yeah, really trusting that um, what your feelings are.
Yeah. And so it starts with us. We have to
Yeah.
love ourselves first for us to have enough love to love other people. But he also mentioned this beautiful phrase that it sounds simple, but it might be a radical truth. And that is, you are enough.
Yeah.
Why do you believe this world holds so much healing and power, especially for women, mothers who often feel like they're falling short?
My relationship ended very brutally. He left me for somebody else, and I felt like the lowest person on the planet. And I got a ring, which was on my finger, which said, I'm enough. And so every single time that I felt myself spiraling in my mind, I would hold that ring and I would say, I'm enough. Now, this is a really beautiful mantra from Marissa Peer. She's been inspirational on my journey, and she was exactly who I needed at that time. Because often as women, we feel that we're not enough. We have to keep our house clean, making sure that we exercise, making sure that we look good, looking after our children, making sure that they're fed really well. And we have all of that. The house has got to be clean. The financials has got to be in order. We have all of these things to look after. And it's almost like we put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect as women. And when we just sit back and realize, like, you're enough exactly the way that you are. And if the person that you're with doesn't think that you're enough, they're not the right person. If they're making you feel otherwise from other things that are happening, it's time to walk away, whether that's a friendship, whether that's a relationship, whether that's a family dynamic. We've got to really be solid in us. If people are triggering us, it's not always them. It's sometimes things that we need to work on within ourselves. And sometimes that creates solitude. Sometimes that means that you just got to break away from people to deal with the stuff that's going on
Yes.
until you are
And
solid.
what about not feeling enough? A lot of times it I'm guilty of it myself in the past. It wasn't necessarily my partner who didn't think I was enough, but it was a learned behavior that I brought from childhood for
Mm,
whatever reason. Only child,
perfection. Mm.
perfectionism, trying to bring attention. So you grew up in this, watching other adults perhaps the relationship that I myself, for example, had with my own mother, where she was trying to please her mom, her family. So that's kind of what you model. And then you go on and you grow. And my husband used to be like, why do you always think that you gotta, why do you put yourself through these things?
Mm.
So I just want to mention that because there's so many ways that we learn, that we get those ideas
Oh, yeah,
from
that's habits. Like keeping my house tidy when people come over, like that is such a thing with my mum. I found that even when she visited us in Torquay, everything had to be perfect before she came over. And I think that's a trait of that we learn off our parents or in some capacity as well, is that even though it's our surroundings, it's a part of us, and we feel that we need that part to be perfect as well. And it's perfectionism. And that's a huge trait that I've had to work through, that I'm only loved if I'm perfect.
right. Or like growing up, for example, if we brought good grades, we have to
Yeah.
like, number one in school and did this and that. It's all this keeping up with everything and not allowing ourselves to feel, by the way, which is
Mm.
something that you talk very much about and how important is. And this world, children are growing. This world does not give our children that opportunity to feel.
Yeah, and that's what we do at
It's,
Happy Souls Kids. Every
yeah,
emotion has its place. Sometimes we're angry, we're frustrated, we're disappointed, we're sad, and they all have our place. Like everything that we feel. Sometimes I will be mad, and my son will say, "Mummy, you're angry. You need to go for a run." Because we feel these things. Recently, I've been through a lot of betrayal, and I was up at the park, and I was just couldn't stop crying. Like I let the
right.
tears flow, and my son
Or
would say to me,
boys.
"Yeah,
Boys
my
that have been
son."
told like, "Oh, you can't cry because you're a boy." But the
Yeah.
girl, all these ideas, where did this come from? I mean, we're human beings. We have feelings. It's
Well,
okay
eat
to cry. It's
concrete, harden up,
okay.
you'll be right, get over it. Like all of these are all big feelings, especially boys feel. And I'm doing the opposite with children. There was one time where my dad said to my son, "You're a better man than that." And I was like, we don't talk to him like that. That's not what we do. That's not just, we're not doing that. Like if he wants to cry, it is okay to cry, but it starts with us. It starts with
Right.
us being able to teach our children all of these things. We need to allow them to feel their feelings, allow them to move anger from their body, teach them how to move anger from their body. What is it that you need in this moment? What are you feeling? Do you need to go for a walk? Do you need to, like, what do you need? And I think it's really important for children to feel into, because otherwise they'll go to sugar, otherwise they'll go to
Hmm.
alcohol, otherwise they'll go to partying. All of these things that we have done in our generation, Rosabel, I'm not sure if you have, I'm speaking for myself here, but I used all these not so great negative modalities to suppress my feelings.
Yes.
Whereas if I was allowed to feel them in childhood, then I'd release them from my body, they would be gone, and I'd be able to continue on with my day. But that's how I parent my child. I allow him to have feelings. I allow him to have emotions. And if he ever goes to other people's houses, he'll say, "Oh, but they're not like you, Mum. They just don't get it. They don't get that feelings exist, and I just hold my feelings in." And a lot of children do that as well, especially during the separation process. They hold it all in. And so you get them back, and it's like an elastic band has snapped, and you're just like, what has happened here? And you can't understand why these big feelings are happening. And it's because you're safe to them. They can feel and they can express how they're feeling. But in order to accept how your children are feeling, you need to start to first accept how you're feeling. I think
Fully.
that that's the
Yeah.
hardest part for humans, is that feelings are uncomfortable. They're uncomfortable for human beings.
But we have to face them. It is
Yeah.
important because we have to process them. By just putting them in a basket and be like, "Oh, I don't have time for that," or
Mm,
later, it's like, "Okay, I'm sad. I'm gonna allow myself to process that sadness, to feel
mm.
it," and then that takes care of it. Um,
You can get a little jar and put things in there like, I'm feeling, and just put it in the jar. Then,
yeah,
whether you believe in spirituality, you can get a
yes,
fire or just throw it in the bin, whatever works for you.
yes.
But just getting those feelings in there with your children. How are you feeling today? I'm feeling sad. Okay, let's put it in the jar.
I don't know who taught me about journaling early on in life, but I think
Mm,
that really saved me. I
mm,
mean, I've been writing since young age, and I just turned into writing pages and pages and pages and books, and would just like,
mm,
I don't know if it was maybe in a class, maybe in English class or something, or even Spanish class, something about brainstorming, and I'm like, oh, I can do
mm.
this, and then
Yeah.
just like, and it just had that feeling. I was like, oh, I'm just
Mm,
pouring my feelings, whatever it is. And then so I kept it. And I even still today, it's my biggest thing. I carry my
mm.
journal with me everywhere I go, even to work. It's so silly.
Is so good. Like, it's just like, it's a conversation that you're having with you. It's a conversation where you can be like, wow, get the answers that you need, or
Yeah.
just get it out of your body. Our bodies are like a garbage truck. They're full of so much
Yes.
stuff. So we need to give them an element to release that. So whatever that moment is for you of that release, whether it's screaming into a pillow, whether that's jumping up and down, whether that's dancing, dancing your feelings
Mhm.
out, whether that's journaling, like, we need to get the big stuff out of our body in whatever way that we possibly can, because otherwise that's what's making us sick inside.
Yes. That is part of having self compassion, being
Mm,
compassionate with our own selves. That is part of taking care of ourselves,
mm.
loving ourselves. Everything starts there. So I want you to tell me, how can people find you, how they can
Yeah.
get in touch with you?
Yeah, I just on that, like, I wrote a 21-day self-love program before I separated, because it was so important to me to have that connection. And funnily enough, I needed my own program after I separated, because I think it's important that we accept the fact that um, that self-love isn't selfish. It's just who we are. But at the moment, our app is in the prototype phase. So it's happysoulskids.com. You can sign up there, or just send me an email, hello@happysoulskids.com, with an S, happy souls with an S and kids with an S. Otherwise, we have LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all of the above. So what we're doing with Happy Souls Kids at the moment is, a child will see somebody win a gold medal and be like, oh my God, they're so talented. And you're like, yes, they are talented, but you haven't seen the journey for them to get there. We tell those really raw, unique stories of the tribulations and things that these people have had to go through to get there. So if you want to be one of our beta testers, it's a gamified platform. Please get in contact. And then my name is Jacinta Field, JACINTHAFIELD. And so, yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of the things. But please reach out, because sometimes we just need somebody to talk to. Sometimes we need somebody that understands what we're going through. Our friends and family don't always have the tools and capacity to do that. So it's important, as you were saying earlier, Rosabel, that we find our tribe of humans that can love and support us in the way that we need.
I don't know about you, but I find that not one size fits all. And we all have, even though we're humans and we're very much alike in many ways, we also have different needs.
Mm.
So I'm thankful for people like you who are out there to see how they can make this world a better place. And I'm just here as a vessel to try to put people like together so we can kind of help find each other, right? And
Yeah.
so I just want to thank you so much for sharing your heart, your story with us today. You really have reminded me that breakdowns, although they come with breakthroughs and there's the healing and the pain and all that, but it doesn't have to be the end of us. It doesn't have to be the last spoken word. And then that our children also need ways to cope, and but we need to connect and we need to help them. We need to be the adults and help to build a better way for them. So once again, thank you so much. Please connect happysoulskids.com. And if today's conversation taught you, please share this episode with someone who needs it, someone that you think needs to hear that they are enough. So until next time, this is Rosabel reminding you to keep showing up and stay unscripted. Thank you.